Welcome in, friends, to Mercado Airwaves Sports from the Couch. I'm your host, Mike Mercado. I want to thank you so much for making us a part of your day and for joining us for our confidence picks for Week 6 in the NFL. It's going to be a fun time as always. But before we do that, we want to jump back. If you're watching us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333 on the Mercado Airwaves Network, you can see we make our picks right there. Otherwise, thank you for joining us on the podcast edition on Mercado Airwaves, wherever you get your favorite podcast. Thank you so much. Make sure wherever you're viewing us or listening to us, give us 5 stars, like, rate, review, share us, and help us grow the brand. We really appreciate you guys always supporting us and joining us. But before we get into the confidence picks, I want to also talk a little bit about what happened last week. And I know we're already moving closer. We have Giants, Patriots we have to get to, but I just want to hit on a few things. And it really has to do with the Bears at London against Oakland, since we are here in Chicago, and it has been the talk of the week since the Bears are heading into the bye week. I just want to hit on one big thing, and that was what this loss really spotlighted about this team. And it's the thing that we've seen since last season, is the inconsistency of getting the established run game. I mean, we can see it right here. I don't even care about the splits between Tariq Cohen and David Montgomery. I understand that as fantasy players and as gamblers and as betting people and as watchers in that view of the NFL, we want David Montgomery, or the best player that we presume to be the best player, to get as many touches, to get all the snap counts, to get all the percentage on the field when it comes to play calls. But with that being said, maybe that's not the way Matt Nagy wants to run this offense. Maybe there is something that we don't see, that we don't understand, that we're not in the meetings to understand. But with that being said, 2.3 and 2.5 average yards for each running back is unacceptable. And I don't know if that's scheme or if that's the offensive line play. Because I think we all agree David Montgomery has some specialty to him. But he can't always have to make a special move. Same thing with Tariq Cohen. Tariq Cohen can make some awesome moves when it comes to lateral and his agility and stopping on a point and moving. Problem is, you can't do that first line of defense. You got to be able to do that in the open field when you're hitting that second and third line. And he hasn't been able to do that. And that has to be with the offensive line. Whether that has to deal with the fact that Kyle Long maybe just isn't healthy or isn't at that level anymore. And the penalties have been killing this team. We also have to really, really spotlight the fact that there's no playmakers on this team. Other than Allen Robinson, when was the last time you really saw somebody make a big play? Taylor Gabriel? That happens too far in between. You got to have more consistency towards it. And it doesn't help that you haven't had Trey Burton. So it's a weird concept, too, where you have a lot of praise went into this offseason with Ryan Pace, deservedly so for what they did last season. But that doesn't mean that you automatically are going to transfer that and get better next year just because. That doesn't happen in regular life, let alone in the competitiveness that is the NFL. And we're seeing it right now. And quite frankly, we're also being told the truth that it's Mitch or bust for this team. Because the defense won't be able to carry you for 16 straight games and then 3 games in the playoffs and a Super Bowl. They'll be able to be the mainstay of your team. And in general, they'll be the reason why you win. But to a micro level, there's going to be moments where Mitch needs to win. And we see that Chase can do that. Chase is a nice backup quarterback. And he does what a backup quarterback is supposed to do. Keep you afloat. He's a 500 guy. We saw it last season, him 1-1. We've seen him this season, 1-1. What else can you ask for? But you need your guy to hit. And it doesn't help when you're seeing Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes going to go head-to-head, and they're the number 1 and 2 quarterbacks, at least for fantasy football talk. So it doesn't help that. I understand. But we have to have some perspective. This defense won't be able to maintain everything for 16 straight games. They're going to have ups and downs. And this offense needs to grow. I mean, you can't average 21 points. You can't average 17 points. Like, you need to do something. They need to get a running game established. And you can't fix the offensive line, so how do you do it in one offseason? So how do you do that right now? In the midst of a season, you're not going to be able to replace everybody. So it is what it is. And there is a track record now. So I just wanted to hit onto that. This is heading into a bye week, and I wanted to make sure that we got some of this out there because when they come back after this bye week, it would be interesting to see if Mitch is there. What have they adjusted to? I was listening to 6-7 to the Score today, and the great Olin Kreutz and Anthony Herron were subbing for, I believe it was Lawrence Holmes. And they mentioned the fact that a lot of people were talking during the offseason that a lot of scouts and a lot of coaches had a beat on Matt Nagy's offense. So if that's the case, and we've seen how they've responded, it's time. It's time now to see not only Matt Nagy, but Mitchell Trubisky and this offense take that next step. Because if they don't do it now, it's not going to happen. This is not something that, a person growing, and we see them mature over years. The NFL is a fast league. It's a fast world in the National Football League. And we're going to see if they're able to develop and if they're able to answer and respond to, quite frankly, an embarrassing showing in London. But we move on from what was last week to this week in our confidence picks, and we're going to start off with the New York Giants and the New England Patriots on Thursday Night Football. If you're new to us, thank you for joining us. If you're on YouTube, you get to see all the graphics that we're using and how we're making our picks, and we do this on CBS Fantasy Sports. And, of course, on the podcast edition, thank you for joining us and listening to us at the gym or when you're driving or if you're watching the game and doing chores, whatever it is. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. If you're not familiar with confidence picks, you have a certain amount of points. You have to pick a winner, and you match the two together, and you hope you end up for the best. Right now, when it comes to standings, I'm right in the middle. It's about a 60-person confidence league, and I'm right around 30-something. So we're doing pretty good. We're right around 500, and I think that's pretty impressive. We're talking about a pick here or a point there. So, and I want to thank you guys for all the support and, seeing how you guys are doing too. Make sure you guys leave your comments below on your picks. So we'll start with Thursday night. And obviously, we got to go Patriots. And I think we're going to keep them at 14, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. How about Carolina versus Tampa Bay? It looks like Cam Newton won't play this week again. Christian McCaffrey will play this weekend again. So we'll play. So I will go with, it's interesting because Tampa Bay, this is one of those weird games. It's in London. It's a 9:30 game. It's one of those weird games where I think probably the underdog will end up winning. You know what? I'm going to go with Tampa Bay in this one, although I think Christian McCaffrey's still going to go off. Watch Mike Evans have 2 touchdowns after having a goose egg last week. I'll go Tampa Bay, but I think I'm going to bring them really down low later on. How about New Orleans versus Jacksonville? New Orleans doesn't want to lose. Teddy Bridgewater is holding it down, and at some point they're going to get back Drew Brees. Jacksonville with Gardner Minshew. It's going to be interesting to see what happens when Nick Foles comes back. Leonard Fournette's having a nice little season, of course, the year after I have him from a fantasy team. I'm going to go with New Orleans here, but it's going to be interesting seeing them going down to Jacksonville in the heat now that we're later into October. Houston at Kansas City. Ooh, put this game straight in my veins. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to go Kansas City in this one. I think Patrick Mahomes is due for like a ball-out game, but this is what I was talking about in that past segment about the Chicago Bears and that Oakland game. The fact remains, this game is a microcosm of what's going to be great and what's going to be horrible about the Chicago Bears moving forward. No matter whether it's fair, no matter how much they try to ignore it, the fact remains is Mitchell Trubisky will always be compared to Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes because he was picked ahead of them. The Bears moved up to get him when they could have gotten either one of these guys. And there's now the discussion of whether Matt Nagy wanted Mitchell Trubisky. Because if you realize it, if you think about it, Nagy was part of the Kansas City offense, was part of that coaching staff. Who did they draft? Who did they have the opportunity to draft? So it's interesting when you start putting these two things together. But I'm going to go Kansas City in this, which should be an awesome matchup. We have the Eagles against the Vikings. I'm going to go with the Eagles in this one. I think everything we're seeing from Minnesota, whenever it's good, it's a mirage. This is that one team that's going to implode. We don't know where the trades are coming from. We don't know what's going on with that wide receiver room. And obviously Kirk Cousins has so divisive amongst that damn locker room, let alone the rest of the NFL. So I'm going to go Philadelphia going on and cruising into that one. Cincinnati at Baltimore. I think Lamar Jackson is going to go off, and hopefully he goes off and really establish himself again. I know he gets a lot of crap from a lot of different people in social media and analysts saying that he's either just a running quarterback, he doesn't know he can't be accurate, which there is some accuracy to that notion of his throw, that little touch. But there is something special to him. There is an X factor to him. And if you're willing to give hype to a lot of different guys, I think Lamar Jackson is one of these guys that really deserves it. And it's going to be interesting to see how they respond over the last few weeks to see if they can really establish themselves in this division. You have a division of Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. You could really put yourself ahead right now and cement yourself give yourself an opportunity to have some form of home field advantage, and I think that's what Baltimore really needs to look at, especially if you're thinking about you're not going to get the 1 or 2 seed with Kansas City and New England. So you got to really go ahead and win these games. So I'm going to go with Baltimore in this one. How about Seattle and Cleveland? Seattle's playing, and Russell Wilson's the MVP right now. I think as great as Patrick Mahomes is, I think Russell Wilson's the MVP of the NFL right now, but I'm going to go with Seattle going to Cleveland and making this season even more of a headache for Baker and the boys in Cleveland. How about Washington and Miami? Again, Miami's not going to go 1-16. At some point, they have to beat somebody. I don't think they're going to go win. They're going to go winless. I also think after Washington fired Gruden, I'm going to go with Miami in this one. Again, I'm not going to put a lot of points in it, but it's be fun. I'll put Miami in this one just to be a silly goose. How about Atlanta at Arizona? Very interesting in this one. I like both teams when it comes to certain guys. Julio has been struggling. I actually played against him last weekend. I think he only put up like 7 points in a PPR league. And it's interesting to see how Atlanta has just taken that step back and back and back. And it's a tough division. Arizona, it's a weird concept between these two teams where Arizona has that upside of the young quarterback and the potential future. It's at Arizona. I'm going to go Arizona in this one. And you know what? I'm going to go Fitzgerald's going to ball on this one. That's my guess. San Francisco, undefeated, going to L.A. to play the Rams. Todd Gurley's not playing. San Francisco's playing pretty well, although I think they've had an easier schedule, obviously. So I'm going to go with the Rams in this one, but I think there's going to be a pretty good game. This is going to be an interesting afternoon one. So we're going to see what happens in the West Coast between that two matchups. How about the Cowboys and the Jets? The Cowboys need to get right, and this is the right game to do it. I'm going to go Cowboys in this one. Zeke is going to go out. Amari's going to ball out. So I'm going to definitely go with the Cowboys in this one. And let's see if Dak could really, again, establish himself to get that big contract this offseason. We have the Titans at Denver. I'm going to go with Denver in this one. Mile high. I don't like Tennessee. Derrick Henry is a nice running back. Marcus Mariota, at this point, we know what he is, and it's interesting where that's a perfect example of it doesn't always work out. Even if you think you know who the best quarterback is, even if you think you have everything scouted out, and Oregon's offense looked great, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. I'm going to go with Denver in this matchup. We have Pittsburgh and the Chargers. I'm going to go with the Chargers in this one. They better get right with this game. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think Keenan Allen's going to go out too after not having a great week last week. And that's on Sunday night. Poor Sunday night. I'm telling you, how many times, and this is what happens when a league falls in love with certain teams, and you're seeing when you're in love in a quarterback league. Pittsburgh at LA. I keep going San Diego. I know it's a Freudian thing. But we have the Steelers. Obviously, they've been in a lot of primetime games because of Ben Roethlisberger and because of the Pittsburgh Steelers. But look what happens when you put all your eggs in one basket so many different times. Look at the Sunday night matchup. Think about the fact that we're not going to get the Houston Texans against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football. Kind of sucks. And speaking of Monday Night Football, we have the Detroit Lions going against the Green Bay Packers. Detroit coming off their bye week. I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. I think the Packers are such a iffy team. The fact remains that they're ahead in this division, and they haven't really been that spectacular. So I think at some point they're going to put it together, though. I think this is one of those teams that will put it together. And to me, and maybe I'm the crazy one, but I see a Seattle-Green Bay NFC Championship game. That's what I'm seeing right now. I know it's only week six, but that's where I'm going for. So those are our picks for this week. It's now time to put where we want to put the points out, our confidence picks. And I'm going to keep 14 points on New England over the Giants. I think that's a safe one, even on Thursday nights. How about, see, I'm definitely not going to put Kansas City that high, even though a lot of people are picking them. That's an iffy game. Why don't we keep looking down just a little bit? I'll put Dallas. I hate putting so many points on Dallas, but I'll put 13 on Dallas just because they're playing the Jets. I don't think Sam Darnold's playing, so we'll keep that right there. Do I really do it? Yeah. I don't think Mason Rudolph is playing. I think Pittsburgh's beat up. They're talking about Mike Tomlin leaving next season. I'll put points on the LA Chargers, and I wonder how many of Pittsburgh fans are going to go to LA. We saw a lot of that last week against the Chargers, where a lot of away teams come to LA for a vacation, and it's not like the Chargers are the popular team there compared to the Rams. So even though they were just as good last season, which is interesting. So we keep looking down a little bit. I think I'm pretty confident in Baltimore beating Cincinnati. I'll put 11 points on them. How about... I guess we can go 10 points on Seattle over Cleveland. Look a little bit more. I guess now I'll put 9 points on New Orleans over Jacksonville. That one's kind of the more risky high one that I put on there. I think I will put... This is getting a little interesting. I guess I will put 7 points on the Rams over San Francisco. And I will put... I guess I will put... You know what? I'll switch that up. I'll put 7 points on Green Bay over the Detroit, and I'll put 8 points. Excuse me. Definitely not putting Tampa Bay and Carolina there. And I'll switch that up right there. And we'll go over these at the very end. And I am pretty confident in Philly over Minnesota. I'll put 5 points on that. I'll put 4 points on Kansas City on Houston. And then 3 in Miami over Washington. Arizona over Atlanta. And Denver over Tennessee. We'll put 3 points on that one. We'll put the lower points. I think that's pretty fair. So why don't we go over this one last time, guys, before we head out of here. We'll put 14 points on New England over the Giants. We'll put 13 points on the Cowboys over the Jets. 12 points on the Chargers over the Steelers. We'll put 11 points on the Ravens over Cincinnati. 10 points on the Seahawks over the Browns. We'll put 9 points on the Saints over Jacksonville. 8 points on Green Bay over Detroit. 7 points on the Rams over San Francisco. We'll put 6 on Tampa Bay over Carolina. 5 on the Eagles over the Vikings. 4 on the Chiefs over the Texans. 3 on the Broncos over Tennessee. 2 on the Dolphins over Washington. And 1 point on the Cardinals over the Falcons. We'll save that bad boy up right now. And we say thank you all and good night for joining us here on Sports from the Couch here on Mercado Airwaves. Enjoy all the games. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at mmercado2333. You can follow the network at Mercado Airwaves. Like us on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Like, rate, review, share us anywhere you get your favorite podcast at Mercado Airwaves. Visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves to get our interviews ad-free and before anybody else with athletes and celebrities at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next time here on Sports from the Couch on Mercado Airwaves. I'm Mike Mercado.